Saudi Arabia is undergoing one of the most ambitious transformations in modern history. Driven by Vision 2030, the kingdom is reshaping its economy, society, and global position at an unprecedented pace. In Saudi Arabia, transformation, uncertainty, and sustainability, Dr. Turki Faisal Al Rasheed provides a rigorous and thought-provoking analysis of the kingdom's evolving economic and strategic landscape. Before we begin, let me introduce the author. Dr. Turki Faisal Al Rasheed, a Saudi businessman, academic, and thought leader. As an adjunct professor at the University of Arizona and advisor, American University of Beirut, Faculty of Food and Agricultural, Dr. Turki Faisal Al Rasheed, founder of Golden Grass Inc. He brings a rare blend of vision, expertise, and real-world insight to every article he writes. Dr. Al Rasheed is also a distinguished author. His upcoming book, Saudi Arabia, Transformation, Uncertainty, and Sustainability, explores the kingdom's evolving economic and social landscape amid global change, offering deep insights into development, resilience, and long-term sustainability. Let's dive in.
All right, let's jump right in. We're about to unpack one of the most ambitious, high-stakes national projects in modern history. I mean, think about this for a second. Trying to completely rewire the economy and society of a G20 nation in just over a decade. That's the incredible scale of what's happening in Saudi Arabia right now. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from David Petraeus, the former CIA director, really sets the stage. He's talking about the source for our entire explainer today, a book by Dr. Turki Faisal Al Rasheed, which is seen as a masterful look at this huge undertaking. It's a story of incredible risks and, maybe, even bigger rewards.
So, to really get our heads around what's going on, we're going to frame this whole thing like a doctor's visit. First, we'll cover the diagnosis. What was the core problem that made this crazy ambitious change necessary in the first place? Then we'll look at the prescription. What's the plan to fix it? And finally, the prognosis. What are the odds of a full recovery? Okay, let's start with part one, the diagnosis. Why was such a radical, all-encompassing transformation needed? Well, the answer really gets to the very heart of the Saudi economy.
For decades, Saudi Arabia was the textbook definition of something called a rentier state. Basically, instead of making its money from a bustling economy with lots of businesses paying taxes, the country's wealth came from renting out its main natural resource, oil, of course, to the rest of the world. Now, this model brought unbelievable wealth, but it also created a massive, deep-seated vulnerability.
So here's the crucial point. In a world that's slowly but surely moving to new energy sources, a world with wildly fluctuating oil prices, relying almost completely on oil money is no longer just a risky bet. The source we're looking at calls it an existential threat. The diagnosis couldn't be clearer. Diversify, or face a future that's shaky at best.
Okay, so if the diagnosis is a dangerous dependency on oil, what's the prescription from the doctor? Well, it's a huge one. It's a massive, multi-trillion-dollar plan called Vision 2030. This is the blueprint, the master plan, designed to cure the country of its core economic problem.
The whole thing is built on three main pillars. Pillar number one is creating a vibrant society. And this isn't just about shiny new buildings. It's about quality of life, a sense of national pride, and really bringing young people and women into the fold in a big way.
Then you've got Pillar 2, a thriving economy. And this is really the heart of the matter, right? This is all about breaking free from that oil dependency by firing up the private sector, creating totally new industries, and making sure there are good, meaningful jobs for a really young and growing population.
And finally, Pillar 3 is building an ambitious nation. This is all about rewiring how the government itself works. We're talking more efficiency, more transparency, basically getting the entire state machine ready to pull off this incredible plan.
All right, so you've got this grand vision, these three huge pillars, but a plan is just a piece of paper, right? How do you actually do it? This is the treatment phase where the medicine gets administered.
And wow, just look at this. This chart really shows you the sheer complexity of it all. Don't even try to read every single box. That's not the point. The point is to see this as a giant machine. These are the Vision Realization Programs, or VRPs. You can think of each one of these gears as a massive multi-billion-dollar project. You've got programs for housing, for healthcare, for building up industry, even for improving the experience of the Hajj pilgrimage. These are the engines that are supposed to make Vision 2030 a reality. So what's the end goal of all these programs? Well, a lot of it boils down to this one number, 65%. That's the target for the private sector's slice of the economic pie by 2030.
To put that in perspective, it was hovering around 40% before. That single number tells the whole story, a massive shift away from a government oil-funded economy to one driven by private business.
But, any aggressive treatment plan comes with risks, complications, potential side effects. And the source we're looking at is really honest about this. This is not a guaranteed success story. There are some serious real-world hurdles to overcome.
First up, the big one, time. Is the timeline itself just too crazy? I mean, we're talking about a root and branch transformation of an entire economy in a little over a decade. The source points out that for other countries, this kind of thing took generations, not years, raising the question of whether things are moving too fast to be effective.
And then there's the social side of things. It's a tricky balancing act. You're pushing for massive economic change, but at the same time, you're seeing these sweeping social reforms. The big question is, can you do both at once, and that fast, without creating friction or a cultural backlash that could put the whole project at risk?
And let's not forget the human element here. What about the actual people on the front lines, the ones tasked with making all this happen? We're talking about the government workers, the civil servants. The source did something really cool and actually surveyed over 300 of them to get a feel for what it's like on the ground.
And the results are fascinating. When you look at who these civil servants are, it's not what you might expect. This isn't some fresh-faced, disruptive startup crew. It's overwhelmingly male. And get this, almost half of them have been on the job for more than 20 years. So you have a very experienced, very traditional group that's now responsible for executing a plan that is anything but traditional.
So, how are they feeling about all this pressure? Well, the numbers tell a really interesting story. A big majority says they're satisfied, which is great. But look closer. You've got a pretty significant chunk, about 15% combined, who are not happy. And the source suggests a big reason for this is a huge cultural shift, from having a secure, long-term job to suddenly being on a yearly contract. That's enough to make anyone a little anxious, right?
Okay, so we've seen the diagnosis, the ambitious prescription, and some of the very real side effects. That brings us to the final big question. What's the prognosis? What does a successful, sustainable future actually look like?
Well, according to the book, a healthy long-term prognosis really comes down to three key things. First is sustainability. Can they keep this incredible pace of development going without burning out their resources or people? Second is irreversibility. Can they make these changes so deep that there's just no going back to the old oil-dependent way of doing things? And third, resilience. Because, let's be honest, stuff happens. Pandemics, market crashes. Can this new system take a punch and keep moving forward?
And that's really what it all boils down to, isn't it? Is Vision 2030 a groundbreaking blueprint for how a nation can totally reinvent itself, a model that other countries might even copy? Or is it an audacious trillion-dollar gamble against enormous uncertainty? The diagnosis was clear, the treatment is underway, but the final outcome? Well, that story is still being written.
Conclusion. As we conclude this discussion, we return to the vision expressed by Dr. Turki Faisal Al Rasheed, a vision rooted in clarity, innovation, and a deep commitment to shaping a more stable and interconnected future. And if you need it, full story about book, and to learn more about the author, visit www.teefrasheed.org.